Okay, it's time for the English medium discussion, weekly session. So we are going to start with the appointed topic. Before going to the main thing, if anyone is having any special topic or circumstantial presentation, I will take few minutes before going to the Maha Sutta.
Avasara Bante, there is one report we have received. That is a regular report, but we are getting on Tuesdays. With your permission, I can present to you. Dear Bante, I am 15 years old and have been practicing for 3 years. This is my experience. Please advise me. Today I did walking meditation. I closed my eyes and started walking in the line. However, I soon started worrying that I would walk into something, so I opened my eyes. I focused my eyes on my feet and brought my awareness to how my weight shifted as I looked each step. As I continued with this, I found that my feet fell into a routine and I did not get distracted by every time I had to turn, and I did not have to think about every step. I found that I was just walking and my awareness was no longer on my feet. Instead, it was on nothing. I continued like this until I was just brought out of this state by nothing in particular. Thero Saranai. That's the end of the report, Bhante.
So whatever the routine thing, if you pause a little and look at it, you can see completely new cross-section. That's called thin slicing of time. So otherwise, if you are doing it in autopiloting mode, you never review them. They just happen. You take it for granted and just continue. Because you are not self-critical. So if you just pause it and see what is happening when it is progressing, there is a sequential of matters or events. It is not belongs to any person. They are universal law. Only the thing is there is no observer. But if you little pause and do observance, then the progress of the process will be reduced. But you can cut across and see how much thing in day-to-day life we are doing in a sequential way without cross-checking. And then ultimately we think everything, I did it happened to me, whether it is happening in a conceptual way or in reality, very difficult. Unless otherwise there is a short circuit CCTV camera. But the Buddha says, whether you like it or not, there is a CCTV camera. Be aware. And the day you see it, it is the only impartial thing. What you thought that you have done is just a thought. It may most probably not what happened. So therefore fixing a CCTV camera is just be mindful, just to be mindful of the thing it's usually happening. So basically breath is such an involuntary thing, or you can do in a voluntary way also. And in the walking also, you can do it, or otherwise you are just walking. And when you are in bathing, when you are eating, when you are brushing your teeth, definitely you are doing daily, but how much is egotistically you are doing, volitionally you do, how much you do in a willful way, or how much it is happening in the day-to-day routine work, indicates how much you are unaware of most essential thing happening under your very nose. Don't do it throughout the day. It is very exhausting, very, very difficult. Have a pause in one or two action and just see. Have a cross-section, and then you can understand so much of Dhamma, so much of facts, very fresh, very intrinsic in each and every moment. So if you know how to harvest them, if you know how to get into them, you need not to go to universities. Universe is within yourself. Universe is within your breath. Otherwise, you have to go to the universities and postgraduate, and you have to mess up your body, mind, and mess up with other bloody fools in the academic centers. And they also put into garlands and put the caps and everything. Ultimately, they will label you. So you are 15 years. Hopefully, you will not get trapped into these university duns. Go to university, definitely, sure. But see how much shallow, how much inert, how much extrovert, how much unwanted thing put into your mind by the so-called education. But instead, if you have a balance in education, internal and external, then fairly you will be a useful person. So just like the last week, this time also appreciate your presentation. And I don't know whether other venerables have any comments on this 15 years old girl.
Avsarai Bante, Avsarai Mahasangha. I just want to mention that mindfulness is giving that opportunity or giving that skill to see that we are doing things indifferently. If mindfulness is not there, every time we are just doing these things indifferently and we are not aware. Now you have the ability to see that things are happening without our involvement, and we also have the ability to see that. So I just want to add that to the same thing that you mentioned.
This ability having only for human beings, no others. So that is why we are in evolution, we are in a very high advanced level, but hardly humans are using this capacity. That's why they are doing this reptilian work or the beastly work. They don't know what is happening. The Buddha says, papanchabhirato mago. They are just doing as the autopiloting mode, just like a beast. But you once in a way cut it and just pause and see what is happening. Then you can understand how much the capacity of your mind, how much the potential in your mind as the human mind. And it is not limited to age, limited to male or female, limited to ordained or unordained. The capacity-wise, we all are the same. Okay. Now we can go to the main topic of the day.
We're fortunate the main topic is actually very in line with what has been discussed just now. So again, reading from this sutta in the chapter of Octads, this is the 13th, the Great Discourse on Deployment. And here deployment means how you would set out your arguments, just like how an army would set out their troops on a battlefield. So we're at a section 908 saying, I know, I see, it is just this. Some here fall back on purity through a view. If one has seen, what good is it to himself? Having gone too far, they assert purity by another. Seeing a person with name and form having seen, it is just these that he will know. Granted, let him see much or little. The skillful say purity is not won in that way. A dogmatist is not easily disciplined, one preferring a formulated view, claiming that the good is found in what he depends on. As a proponent of purity, he saw things the way they were. He saw things that way there. So let's just go through this. Saying, I know, I see, it is just this. So this is a sort of an expression even the Buddha would kind of use himself. Not exactly the same. He would say something like, discussing like how do we know anything in the world. Like he will say that wisdom is seeing things as they really are. Whereas here you see the difference. I know, I see, it is just this. Is a kind of a person who sees things with a view, with an opinion, because they actually fail to see things as they really are. They see things in terms of their opinion, their ideology, their view. If one has seen, what good is this to himself? Having gone too far, they assert purity by another. So here again, he's saying that this act of seeing, if you see things like this girl this morning just mentioned, just seeing things as they were while walking, ran into this kind of conflict of I feel anxious. I have these other thoughts that are going on in my head. So it's kind of falling away from seeing things as they are. It's falling into a view. It should be this way, it should be that. Whereas in reality we have to see things as they are, not how we think they should be. So here in this way the Buddha is saying it as if one has seen, what good is it to himself? So it's like questioning my own reality. If I see things and I say, well, it's like this when I'm walking, then somebody else, this view will arise in the head saying, no, that can't be it, and don't be silly. That kind of thing is like this conflict between seeing things and views arising. So again, the Buddha is continuing, seeing a person will see name and form having seen. It is just these that he will know. Granted, let him see much or little. The skillful say purity is not one in that way. So here again he's referring back to how it is that we can actually know something. So a person, or what we call seeing, is just seeing name and form. We don't go further. Like when we see name and form, this is nama and rupa, then we don't identify, we don't label it. Oh, that is that person of that family, that tribe, that they do this, they do that. We know the characteristics. Instead, we just see a person. We see a name and a form, and we stay open to what this immediate experience is of this person. Because a person is an aggregate of phenomena happening, arising in the present moment. And if we jump into a view about the person, then we fail to see the person. So granted, let him see much or little. The skillful say purity is not one in this way. So we don't get insight through views. And then he says, a dogmatist is not easily disciplined, one preferring a formulated view, claiming that the good is found in what he depends on as a proponent of purity. He saw things that way there. So here again, he's saying a dogmatist is somebody who has a dogma or a view. They have a belief, they have maybe a learning, as was been mentioned by Maha Thero this morning. Like you can go to universities and you will find it full of dogmatists, full of people who have a formulated view, and they claim that the good is found in what they depend on. So they're going to persuade you that their class material is what you need to know and depend on what they have to say. And as a purity so they will say that this view will help you purify the way your knowledge is of the world, and that he saw things the way there. So he's like, that by looking at things through a view, that you can come to a deeper understanding of them. Whereas, like you had that experience while walking, of feeling anxiety, of feeling uncertainty, and this is like a crack in the world of views. A person who has views will not see. They will not. They will try to deny anything about anxiety, or that the world is not perfect. It's not in line with their view. So that's why, as he says here, a dogmatist is not easily disciplined, one preferring a formulated view. So it's very interesting, this phenomena of seeing things as they really are and seeing things through a view. Most people have this blinker or filter of views occurring all the time, and they sort of deny the reality of their present moment and present situation. Whereas in mindfulness, and especially mindfulness of walking, when we're sitting down, we can be as such secluded from the happenings in the world. But when you're walking, you're immersed into the happenings of the world. Because, I don't recommend walking with your eyes closed, by the way, because you're bound to run into difficulty. It's not so helpful. And I also find it helpful to walk naturally as well. So that in that way I can be doing walking meditation. There's a formal kind of walking meditation, walking up and down, but then there's just walking around, walking into town, walking to school, walking home again. Then you can walk naturally and be mindful at the same time, and have this confrontation between reality and your own thinking and views, and see that there's always this storyteller. And that storyteller is like a dogmatist, as he says here. A dogma, somebody who has a very strong opinion. We always have a strong opinion. Everybody has an opinion about everything at any one time. Even if you've never seen something before, if I was to say to you, what's your opinion about that? You would express your opinion. Well, I like it, I don't like it. You've never seen or met this thing before, and you have an opinion. So people can have very strong opinions with no basis whatsoever, no information, because they prefer a formulated view, as the Buddha calls it here, and claiming that this is truth. So why should I update my truth with facts, with reality, with the way things really are? So in this way, mindfulness is very revealing and a very powerful insight into the world. So this is why in this section the Buddha is talking about saying, I know, I see it just like this, but falling back on a purity through a view, and then asserting that this is the correct way of seeing the world, even though it doesn't tally with the facts. So that's what I have to say at the moment about this section.
පොත තියෙන අරගෙන යතන මේ බුද්ධ ජයන්ති පොතයි. Do you have any comments? Do you have anything to say?
Excuse me, Swaminatha. Thank you, Bhante, for giving the teaching. This just the report that we got and Swaminatha's response to that, and then the sutta now. All made me think of the fact that, that normally, conventionally, we look toward the outside world for our understanding of things, and we're looking around everywhere for the answers, and the spiritual path is looking inward, and especially with Buddhism, trying to witness reality, and we can do that just from practicing mindfulness and paying attention to what is actually happening. And the tricky thing is that outside views and beliefs have been ingrained and indoctrinated into us through our socialization and cultural learning. We learn all the wrong views and all the outside information, and it's completely going on like a program in our minds. So we're continually reinforcing the wrong view of things, and so what is good, and this seems to just all come back to for me how to practice meditation and how to give a report and just telling what actually happened. Our tendency to cling and seek what we would like, which is involving going after something outside of us and trying to seek pleasure, we miss the reality. So that's the thing I've found with reporting and with Swaminatha is learning how to directly report reality as it is, and not interpreting and falling back on our enculturated and indoctrinated seeking for approval or whatever it is we seek socially, control, wanting to impress others or whatever it is. We have to go beyond that and come back to the real core of reality that we can experience directly. So it seems like this is what is I've been thinking of with these views, is that it comes back to kind of our whole psychological, for me, it reminds me of the way we're programmed, and we are just seeking to look outside of ourselves for information and knowledge rather than seeing what's directly in front of us. That's all I had, Swaminatha.
Namasarai Bhante. Thank you, Maha Sangha, for all the comments so far. And I just wanted to say something that I think I have said before, which is that all beings in the world suffer or experience suffering, unless, of course, they're awakened. So I think a lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people forget that, or don't realize that. So oftentimes, there's this, you could say, a lot of people don't understand that all beings suffer. So they, excuse me. So a lot of times people will have this view that I am this or I am that, and when someone presents a different viewpoint, or they can believe that you are attacking me, or you are not like me. I have again, some people, a lot of people have this view that I am maybe this skin color, I am this religion, I am this, I am that, and everyone who is not like me is threatening me. So a lot of times with that, people forget that or don't realize that all beings experience suffering, unless, of course, they're awakened. So that is my comment at this time.
Avsarai Swamin Wahanse, Avsarai Maha Sangha. I just want to say that even the view before Buddha, there were certain views that were considered as wrong. And then Buddha introduced the right view. When he introduced the right view, he introduced two types of right views. The right views that the lay people can follow, or just to come out of the wrong view that existed that time. And when we look at the present day world, especially the Buddhist world, we are stuck in that beginning point and is not going towards the final message of the Buddha. So for me, that itself is relatively wrong view. We just keep offering many things. We just say everything is depending on the force of karma, and that's it. No one is striving, or at least not no one. Hardly people strive to understand what Buddha really said. So therefore, to that extent, having that right view is also a wrong view. And if we go a bit further, even those who are practicing, it happens to me as well. And when we get into the practice, we think holding on to the object or being with the object is what is most important. And even that becomes a wrong view, although we are practicing. So we somehow or other find, or not we rather, it's the habit of our mind to find some way to form a view and hook us somewhere. So Buddha simply introduced a technique to see all these culprit way of working in our mind, just to keep the mindfulness to the fore and see what the mind is trying to do to you. And if you have that ability to just keep seeing what right mind is trying to take us on, then for me, I think we are able to get close to the message of the Buddha.
Avasarai Bante, thank you again, Maha Sangha, for all the comments. And I just wanted to add by saying, perhaps I have said this before, but I'm not sure, but there's a lot of talk these days, at least in the West. There seems to be a lot of talk of making the world a more compassionate or equal place. And this is probably happening in other parts of the world too, but the reality is that unless we can see that all beings in the world suffer or experience suffering, the world cannot become a more compassionate place. So, there are a lot of people who want to make, or who say that they want to make the world a more compassionate place. But if they still have this view again that, I am this or I am that, and everyone who's different is against me, well, that's not getting off to a good start. That's not going to make the world a more compassionate place. There's with that, you could say view. You could say that with that view of I am this or I am that, or I am this or I am that, and everyone who's not like me is like against me. You could say that with that, there's a lot of, as a result, or tying into that, there's a lot of focus externally rather than internally. It becomes about changing. You could say perhaps it becomes about changing the outside situation, or it becomes about defending this personality that I have constructed around myself and what I believe that I am, rather than seeing things as they really are with wisdom. So That is the second comment that I had.
I will just recite the word in Pali, which was the base for the discussion today. Janami passami tatheva etang ditthya eke pacchanti suddhing adakhi che kimmi tumassatena atisitva anyena vadanti suddhi. Some ascetics and the recluse claim that I see it, I know it, and by that they think they will get refined by the ditthi or these wrong views. I see, I know, therefore in this way their purification of the view can happen. Anyway, if he or she see things as they are, and how much that reality is camouflaged or glossed over by this view, and instead of this, the correct path the Buddha declared, if they think through other ways they can find the same purity, they will surpass the real view, purification of the view. That is why they say, no, even with this my wrong view, I see things as they are, I hear things, I know things as they are. That's why they don't know. There is a particular knowledge known as things as they are that must be installed, then only you can see, then you can know. So that is a kind of a gist put into one particular stanza. The second one goes as this: Passang naro dakkhati nam rupang diswana va nyassati tanimeva kamang bahung passatu appakang va nahitena suddhing kusala vadanti. Some other beings, by looking at the other's mind or this emotional intelligence, they see the mind and the matter, and they take they are real, they are permanent, they are existing like. And soon they see the other person or other immaterial thing, other non-living thing, consider them as permanent. Of course, he or she is observing, seeing things in more or less the same. But the Buddha or enlightened beings never declare by that kind of seeing there will be a purification. There's no such a purification. The seeing is something to say who you are and what you are, what is existential seeing. But it is not always going to give purification. So therefore you must have kind of a inferential knowledge. You must have kind of a deductive knowledge, prepared mind before you see something. That's what we call the diligence. That's what we call the vigilance. Otherwise, as you see, you are imposing a permanent notion to whatever you see. Under such circumstances, that seeing will not be leading to purification. So this is the text or literal meaning of the two stanzas. So today we are in a top of the IT technology, artificial intelligence. It's also part and parcel of the it's also part and parcel of the how do you call God created intelligence. That's one of the, not artificial intelligence, it's called intelligent design. That present day trend also happening in the intelligent design. But anyway, we see more, we see here, we see far and everything, but that does not indicate it is leading to any kind of purification, but that does not block also. If you have the normal meaning of the science and the knowledge, seeing what you are, or even if you just pause a little and see what happened while you are walking, just like that girl used to say, the both are the same, without much of gadgets and much of the other worlds, your internal thing, but you have to have kind of a comparison between in and out. For that you must have inferential knowledge. So therefore don't let down the inferential knowledge, let that evolve. While it is happening, each and everything you see will be filtered through, interpreted through the inferential knowledge. So that is how the evolution takes place. In the conference, I tried to explain that lady was telling that in a circle, the upper part is what you achieved, what your prestige, what you are successful so far. And the lower part is failures and whatever missed and kind of thing. She asked each and everyone to appoint something and how much you proud and happy that you go on achieve something, and something that you have not achieved. And she has suggested so much of items. And we were a little discussing about few minutes, and she says, those who have achieved something is always destroying the earth. Those who have not achieved that normal, the aborigines, their destruction is very less. They are only on the pockets. So therefore those who achieved anything, it's a mercenaries, organized crimes. So those who do, if you know that you have not achieved this and that means so much far, so much so you have not destroyed the earth. You are not, you are a lover of the Mother Earth, mindfulness for earth. And I mean, I can talk to her and get down that list. But it was in very little letters, small letters I can't see far away. I hope yesterday I got her card and I wrote a message, but the address I typed is wrong. So I tried my best to get her to present it. So therefore whatever we achieved on this earth, it's bad for the earth. Whatever we have not achieved so far, so much so we have preserved the earth, Mother Earth. So therefore you are very innocent, you are very humble, but therefore you can be happy that yes, these things I have not achieved. So much so you are very humble. But whenever you achieve something, you are very arrogant. You have no any mercy to the nature or mercy to the other fellow beings or other animals, because you must have this prestige, you must have this. Why not? Because I have achieved this and that, therefore I must have my services and goods.
I don't understand. Is this kind of like the idea of in the West that they have about the noble savage, that it's noble to be savage, like Tarzan,
like
like Tarzan.
Huh? Tarzan.
Like Tarzan, like a noble savage. This is like an idea like noble savage, that by doing nothing and that you achieve great achievement. By achieving something you achieve nothing. It's kind of crazy.
Achievement is
that's
bad
a really
for the
crazy
earth.
View, crazy
Your
view.
achievement is bad for the earth. That is what she tells.
So we should just go around like a noble savage.
No, that Tarzan is
scraping
not a good,
the earth, licking the ground, kissing Mother Earth.
No, the Tarzan is not that. She is very arrogant, very aggressive, very offensive. So Tarzan is not why we can say humble aboriginals, humble Vedda fellows.
So then any farmer is destroying the earth, any miner is destroying
do
the
it
earth.
in his capacity.
Any fisherman is destroying the earth.
Yeah, but if he's going with the many days and going to the trawlers and catching so much of fish, how can we compare with the person going with the boat and catching fish and having a mammoth and doing their own farming and having a big combined harvester and destroying the whole area? So these things you have to consider. Earlier it was a great achievement in agriculture if you can claim 400 acres at a time and you are the master. And you can claim, you can sow, you can claim, can ask the government, I need this and that. So when that happens, ultimately what is the Mother Earth, what is the mindfulness for Earth? Always negative. Now only America is slowly understanding it. And conference was...
How long would that professor last on the Mother Earth without being handed the fish to eat and the food to eat and...
So that is what you have to get
drive
down
around
the list.
in her car, fly around in her aeroplane.
Yeah.
You know, she wouldn't last 5 minutes.
No, I mean that her performance as a professor and this conference will not be happening with these amenities and facilities. But that does not indicate by going down to Mother Earth, going down to the natural way of life, will make much difference to the world. Much difference the civilization of the human being, the self-exploration, see things as they are. Still that exploration can take place. It is not depending on the sophistication and the complicated formulas. They are complicating the relationship with the Mother Earth.
There is no Mother Earth. There is no Mother Earth.
Yeah.
This is just another idea, another crazy idea.
Yeah.
It's Earth is just Rupa.
Yeah.
So there's no Nama in the Earth, Mother Earth.
That they say is there's a consciousness in the Earth. Earth is talking, is evolving, is responding because of the tycoons and all the kind of thing. There's a response of the Earth. They are trying to feel emotionally intelligent, to be intelligent about the Mother, about the Earth. So that is how mindfulness for Earth became the topic of the conference. Otherwise we can consider this is also just like a Saturn or like a moon. No, this is called Mother Earth. And the whole theme is mindfulness for Earth, or mindfulness, faith for Earth.
So what do you think?
So that's we have to wait and see. Now we are in a very, very turning point. And we can understand how much the same fellows, the scientists and people was talking about the large-scale agriculture, multi-billion companies and multinational companies, how much they are destroying. And this evolution of technology and the scientific evolution, it was a big boost. But now we are in the recession side. So that we have to understand as an individual. Without that civilization, as an individual, my progress will be completely cut off, or world will collapse. I doubt. There may be some reduction of the population. So, is the government...
I find a lot of it is self-hate.
Huh?
It's just self-hate. You know, this idea that you can reduce the population, reduce your
not
usage.
The population. I am not telling
again, this kind of nihilism.
I am not telling to reduce, but disqualified people find difficult to have this comfort and live.
It's a self-hatred. They're
Not
driving
self.
around in their nice little hybrid car.
You must be prepared.
Eating as much food, never want for food, and it's all magic. And the people who are growing it and bringing it to them are just poor people. It's kind of like some weird little cushion between myself and poor people.
So I told the conference, don't get obsessed with the therapeutic mindfulness. You are obsessed with the question present day. But mindfulness is giving a complete different this thing. It's the preventative. So take the message from the mindfulness, take the present day obsessions and the unbearable, but that does not indicate mindfulness is limited to therapy. It has preventative. So can we enlighten the human being, telling lucky enough we have the science, we have the amenities and facilities, okay. But it is not lasting, it is not a balance. So why can't we reduce it and be prepared for this kind of compromise?
At least they have started talking now.
Yeah, at least now it is time for dialogue. So they were with both the ears up. I told, I am very sorry, you 30 people completely obsessed. So I thought before my death, I have a determination, can I communicate this idea about prevention is better than cure? So I think anyone thought? No, anyone never thought. They are so obsessed, there is no way out. I told, don't say like that. Because we are the people aggravated the situation and we are obsessed with this preventative, therapeutic mindfulness, curative mindfulness, business Buddhism, American Buddhism, and people are finding fault with me also. But I am coming here and telling, the good at least you are coming to the mindfulness for earth, at least therapeutic way. But I am asking you, keep that on go, on run. But take little backward and say preventative. Now be prepared for without much of amenities. We live in the normal way. But imagine the present day younger generation to learn about how to be a scout, how to go to the forest and live in the improvisation and impromptu adjustment. They can. They will be happy. And I told that one Pakistan girl, Ali, very beautiful girl, and he was the professor. Then I told that I am inviting you, please come to Vayamba, go to that cave. I am preparing a cave. I am asking you to come and spend one night. No electricity, no water. And at last I told, you buggers must come to Sri Lanka. When you are talking about the cave life, I thought of coming one day. So I told, any time, everything I can bear the cost. You just come. I can give you. And they are happy. Because it's a kind of a... Yeah, they're going to a scout camp. It's a fantasy, yes. But it's a preventative. You have to be prepared.
Avasara Bhante, what I appreciate is now all three of us have been experiencing all these luxuries. And he has come from America, and he has come from Ireland and Australia, and I have gone through the luxuries as much as possible. Now we have been able to come to this life. And there are a lot of people inspired by us by doing this. So even those people, maybe they are not up to what we are doing, but they are opening their eyes and they have started the ball rolling. So I think we will have to really appreciate such efforts and attempts and investment of energy, because from those layers it is easy for the message to go down. The main thing is those layers had not been touched in the past. So it's for me it's very encouraging to see people are talking about it.
Existentially we came to this age now. That is, we are lucky. I am not telling everyone to impose something like Fauci is telling everyone must wear the mask or like. I see we present it. It's a last age, so old system. We have forgotten because of the science gave a very quick answer. Okay, we went there. Good. And I also learned science. I also went to luxury. As you mentioned, I became a monk and I'm very happy. It is not a fantasy. Becoming a monk and being happy, and I am not hiding it. I go and tell all the people also, why you can't get this ascetic life, not for the whole life, for a retreat. Yes.
I'm sorry, Swaminathan. So then I just wanted to say, if we think of, well, what I don't know what the conference was completely, but mindfulness for the earth, makes me think, being mindful of the earth as our home, as Soinatsa says. And if you look, we can now see that the human beings are overpopulating, over-consuming, and if you think about, our interdependence with nature, if we outgrow and overconsume nature to where we're killing off the actual life, because plants give us oxygen and we give them carbon dioxide. I've heard talk of that the rainforests are being depleted and consumed for material consumption and for human being, inhabitation and farming and so forth. You see it with like tea plantations. They just wipe out the whole forest and they're growing tea on a mountain. And as human beings continue to consume and want this higher standard of living, as the woman was at the conference was saying, as we achieve more, we want more, and everybody wants these good things, these luxuries, and we just overconsume and overpopulate the planet. Obviously, it doesn't take much imagination to see that we're throwing things out of balance, and just by our, even without global warming being an issue, let's say, well, we don't know what global warming is, but even if you just look at how we're overconsuming the planet and wiping out so much nature, doesn't that throw things out of balance just by the mere fact that we get oxygen from plants to live? And if there's more people than plants, then how do we survive? Do we figure out some way to create oxygen from the ocean? Or, we keep trying to get smarter and smarter, but is there, nature is finally going to, if we don't pay attention and be mindful of our home and see how we can keep things in balance, then that our mindfulness, we've just gone completely egotistic, and we're just going to take everything that we can get, and without any regard of our home and how we can survive, which that's probably what will happen. I imagine the human race will, just eventually wipe itself out, and because it's too strong of a trend, not to happen. So that was my comment.
They were talking about the urbanization. They were talking about the modernization. And when the country developing, you have to people come together and living in the cities and developing mega cities and kind of thing. They never make a healthy atmosphere. And just going to the forest and living in there, that's the best. But the thing is, it was a pressure at that time. Now, the consequences are there. Existentially, we can see. Lucky enough, still we have little forest. And now we can think about mindfulness, go with the compassion or with the wisdom. So if it's the wisdom, we have to enlighten the people. Still the paths are available. Not with therapeutic mindfulness, but preventative. To be preventative, it is a wisdom. It's a wisdom, very difficult to convince people. But that people came, they have the ability to accept this idea. Someone has to catalyze it and tell. So you have to give a special thought, because it is not our age, but the Buddha, 2,600 years. And that lady was asking me whether I have heard about the Tipitaka Dhamma. I told there's something wrong in this thing. Tipitaka is, no, you have the very great idea, the Buddha is teaching and Sangha. So have you studied the Dhamma? Then I told, I have no formal studies. I have done little private studies with this thing. And later that lady came to me and told, we are frequently associating with one bhikkhu from Thailand called Tipitaka Dhamma. His proper name is Tipitaka Dhamma. Then it may be, but by Tipitaka Dhamma is not coined. These two terms are not come together. Tipitaka is something. Dhamma is something. Tipitaka Dhamma is what we call the Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. I have not studied in universities, but I have done formal. It's a great collection. Are you familiar with it? I am quite familiar, but I am not a master. Something like that. They are studied, but not in a way overall. And therefore they think the knowledge is within us. But our leaders completely misled it, telling it is your compassion and emotional bite. But the thing is, the nature is responding. But still not too late. Still not too late. We have to, even the bitter lesson, the bitter concoction, you have to prepare and drink. The prevention is better than cure.
Just another thought. What I appreciate is, again, it may be earth, it may be the ocean, it may be health, whatever it is. If we have a way to get the message of mindfulness out, best thing is to go for it. And otherwise, total sum of development equals destruction.
Development means destruction. Simple like that. So that is the way I see. I know. But they are looking from I see. I know, not see and know. But Buddha has given another seeing and knowing system without I. But these people introduce the sustainable development goals. All bullshit. No mindfulness. So, but still we have to say, yes, it's a good idea, sustainability, but what about incorporating mindfulness into your grand idea? And then we can think about the preventative mindfulness and wisdom. So we have to somehow put the leg inside. And then only we can go ahead. Otherwise we can directly say, no, we are Buddhists, we are not happy with that, what you are telling. No, then the no communication takes place. Say, you have done a good job. People appreciated it. More than half of the human being on the earth appreciated the science, appreciated the West, appreciated the developed countries and the first world countries. Okay, carry on. It is your baby. WHO, IMF, UN, NATO, all bloody shit. And everything they are coming out with, I see, I know concept. So we from the third world country, we are not always ready, but we have made advantages in the present day situation. Because situation is very, very critical now, and pros and cons are very obvious. Okay, about the time. Yeah, 5 minutes available. If someone is willing to present ideas. Otherwise, we will sum up this discussion. Okay? So, that will be the end of the discussion. Thank you very much for the participation.